Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning, Syndicate members. What is happening, man? It is, what's today, Wednesday? Yeah, it's Wednesday.
Winning on Wednesday.
It is 9 a.m., which means we are live right here in Austin, Texas from Syndicate headquarters. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day because this is how we do it. We do it live. We do it every Wednesday. My name's Tony. That's my buddy Joe. He is the king of Facebook groups, the king of trucking insurance. What's going on, my brother?
Oh, man, what is not going on? We have had a rock star start to the week. Happy winning on Wednesday to everybody. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. If you can, let us know in the comments that you can hear and see us. We appreciate y'all, as always, for tuning in to the live shows. And also, if you don't catch it live, just know it's going to be here in the group. And then Lily will actually also drop our links to the other platforms as well as a YouTube channel. So if you haven't popped over there, we got I think close to 700 videos out there now, which is pretty wild to see how long we've been building that thing up. But happy winning on Wednesday. Real quick, before we get going, also always a shout out to Viva Virtual Solutions. Thank you for being our main sponsor of the show. We appreciate you. Again, you guys just heard me reference Lily. She's amazing. She does so much of the back end editing, publishing, and really she's kind of our remote producer for all the shows and all the stuff we're doing here within the insurance syndicate. So shout out to Viva. We appreciate you. We appreciate you, Lily, and everything that you do. And that's through Rob Lopez. If you guys don't or haven't met Rob Lopez, definitely reach out to him. He's an awesome guy. So I guess it's that time. And you guys know, because we got our new little routine as we get into it, right? But drop them in the comments because it's time to celebrate your weekly wins. Woo! Boom. What's your weekly win, Mr. Merwin?
Man, it is simple. It is simple. What is my weekly win today? It is, man, it's Medicare. I guess my weekly win is in tackling and countering the gaslighting that is happening to our Medicare beneficiaries right now. So Medicare's been going crazy. They dropped a new thing
a couple days ago now.
Days ago, yeah. Today's the 31st, right? So, yeah, on 29th, they dropped this new memo about that basically proved everything I've been saying about the Inflation Reduction Act that is going to completely wreck premiums and benefits for Medicare beneficiaries on their drug plans. So not that I'm trying to toot my own horn with the weekly win that, hey, I was right. Y'all are about to get screwed in 2025. But that little piece of information dropped on Wednesday or on Monday. And then I have been battling against it, talking to my clients. I ended up writing a white paper about it that I'm going to be sending out to my clients. So
cool. I like that.
Knowledge. I guess my weekly win is knowledge.
Don't say I didn't tell you so, right? Those almost 20 years in the industry, definitely you learn a thing or two and really just know how to follow the trend and see it coming, right? Mm-hmm. Which is important for preparation for your clients, right? So kudos to you on that. So I have two. Obviously, the first weekly win is $1 Million Mastermind through Ryan Stewin. Got to take my team out there to Dallas, technically Irving, this past weekend, and it was just an amazing event. If y'all were there and you guys are watching this, go ahead, drop that in the comments. I'd never really been kind of just a full-blown sales conference like that, but it was all run by current Apex members. I'm actually an Apex guy. It's like the paid mastermind. You get all kinds of resources, network, all that good stuff. but it was actually all run by like crazy successful Apex members.
It
Which was
wasn't
really
an
cool.
insurance conference, right?
Was not insurance. There was not a single insurance person up on that stage. It was all sales, building a business, how to exit businesses, how to work within a business. So it was kind of like the 4 levels of business, and that was really cool. So this is the one, guys. We were talking how my morning's been going. Okay, so here's some of y'all, and this is one of my biggest strengths. So hear me when I say this, because I did not have the best morning, but I wanted to save it and see Tony's reaction on live. So I came out this morning and was up early, getting ready to head to the office. I'm like, what the hell? I was like, Maria's still up in bed. Where's her car? So found out this morning that my wife's van was stolen throughout the night. So she went to go get groceries last night after I got home from softball, and was getting groceries out or whatever. Ended up leaving her purse in the car with the keys, with her wallet, with all her cards. And then turns out last night was the night of the car hoppers, and they literally ended up stealing my wife's van.
Straight out of your driveway?
Straight out of my driveway, man.
Dude, the stones on somebody.
I mean, so now when I say that, y'all, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, are you freaking kidding me? Yes, I'm like that too, because I had our car seats in it. So now what are we going to do with the kids and all this? And luckily we've got good neighbors that I can call my mom. Those types of things. It's
in
like
Cedar Park, Texas.
Literally in Cedar Park, dude. And it's Laura's last day of preschool. But hear me when I say when this is my weekly win, because obviously that sucks. I've got a stacked day from literally the start of this podcast until 2:30 back-to-backs. And I think a lot of the times in this industry, we are this close to having our moment, right? Or this close to having a really good day for our business, and then life just comes through and tries to slap you. And so for me, my words of encouragement to you is that literally as I'm going through this now, just know that, hey, there's only so much I can control, right? We filed a police report. We called Toyota tracking. Turns out they don't have tracking on the vehicle. But in my thing is, dude, it could have been so much worse. Like what if they decided to try and come into my house with my children, right? Or imagine, hey, my wife was just getting home with the kids and they decided to do it then and not so late at night. And so I think there's so many other things that could have happened outside of, well, shit, man, I guess this is what we have insurance for. I don't really want to file a total loss claim, and hopefully they find it. But even then, you guys know, I mean, if they're stealing something, who knows what's going to happen with it. So again, I say that as my weekly win is, dude, life sometimes is going to try and bring y'all down, and just look at the brighter side of things. It could have been 1,000 times worse for us. And this is, again, the power I'm living. I am a product of my product right now. Like, hey, at the end of the day, do I have to get a new car because we have it insured, and that's why we pay insurance, right? And some of y'all may have gone through this before. So that's my words of encouragement, that if you have something, anything, it doesn't even need to be like that's going on in your life, just push through, right? And continue on with your day. Do what you can, control what you can control. And so here I am, live on the show, bringing it to the Insurance Syndicate. And we've got an amazing freaking guest for y'all. I'm very excited. I just recently got to get connected with our guest through Joe Crivolo. Shout out to Joe Crivolo. Had dropped my name, and then we got connected through LinkedIn, and then got on calls, and then now we've had a multitude of calls and are working on some really cool things together. So without further ado, y'all, go ahead and give a nice warm welcome to my new industry peer and buddy, Mr. Kenneth Salyer. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having me on today.
Absolutely, man. It is great to have you on. I love that backdrop. Those are all brands that I like. I feel like, we're in the same wheelhouse here all of a sudden, and is that I'm in the life and health guy. This guy can't even spell life and health.
I can't.
But take a moment, if you don't mind, because this is certainly the first time that you and I've met, and maybe the first time that some of our audience has met you. So just take a moment, tell them who Kenny Salyer is, kind of what you're doing, what you're about, and so forth.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm in the health, life, and Medicare space. But lately, as of the last year, since I've been in the industry for the last couple of years, I've been focusing on a lot of group health for under 65, helping out the businesses, helping them to save money where they can, whether it be in their group plans or maybe even their payroll taxes, workers' comp reductions, things like that. And it's been really successful. I'm learning a lot because I'm still new to the industry, but I love it. I've met amazing people like Joe, like he said, Joe Crivolo, who I have the utmost respect for, introduced us, and I haven't looked back since starting that relationship.
Joe Unite.
At the beginning of the year. Yes, it's all these Joes, great Joes. Joe for president. Yeah. Except yeah. Sorry, my bad.
Other Joe.
No, he's not there anymore. All right.
That's funny.
Yeah, right.
So what else, or what's a real quick before we get into it, what's a weekly win for you?
I've had a couple. On the lighter side of things, I have a 12-week-old German Shepherd, which I have always wanted, and now I have it, and it drives my wife nuts because it follows her around rather than me. However, we're teaching it potty training, we're teaching it how to shake, and it's just executing a lot of those things on its own, and it's awesome. It's so much fun to just teach it something and then see it do it, and it's really cool. So that's one of the wins. The other win is just happened a couple days ago. I got put in touch with a business owner that, they couldn't afford group health plans or anything like that. And they never really could afford benefits, barely could afford a 401k for their employees. And I got put in touch with them, and I introduced them to a health and wellness program that helped them to not only, provide some benefits for their employees, but also save on their taxes and their workers' comp, and just educated them on what was available to them so that they actually felt like they could offer something more to their employees and not just be, a second tier business that actually compete with some of the other businesses in their industry. So that for me was a positive win, because I really got in this industry to help people. And I felt like that was a big win for me. I felt.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Well, so real quick, and I'm kind of even asking this because we just recently got to connect, and already the things that we're kind of working on is pretty freaking cool, man. It's the people that you meet and how you meet them, right? I remember your first message. You're like, "Hey, give me a call. You can help my clients." And I was like, "Whoa, what kind of?" I've never, I'm like, and that's on LinkedIn too. And I don't spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. And then I said, "Exactly what?" And you're like, "Boom, owner." And I was like, "Oh, perfect, okay." And then we get on a call, and then here we are. Even just some of the stuff that we're looking at on the trucking side of things from, I think that was last week, right? But real quick, man, who is Kenny? Where do you come from? So obviously, you've only been in insurance for 2 years. Like, what did you do? Actually, let's start here. What was your first job? And just kind of take us through that timeline. I want to hear just how did you even end up in insurance? And obviously now looking to stay.
Yeah, well, in another lifetime ago, it feels like I played collegiate and professional baseball, and I coached, national teams and did all of that. I had aspirations of either playing professional or coaching professional, or, that was what I wanted to do, and then my second, passion was trying to get in law enforcement to make a difference, help people that couldn't help themselves, almost make a change for people's perception on, how law enforcement is, so that there'd be a little bit more support and realizing that we're human beings and all that good stuff. But I realized that with all the politics and trying to get in law enforcement, it wasn't in the cards for me, and that's okay. And I looked for where I could actually make a difference for people. And insurance, it just kept on coming back. It circled back every couple months, every couple years. It was like, hey, you would be a great fit to do something like this. Or I would meet people in the industry that were like, oh my gosh, I want to take you under my wing. And at one point I'd been in private protection for about 8 years, helping out high net worth individuals. And I realized I'm not growing. I'm not being challenged. I'm not being stimulated. I felt like I was just becoming this vegetable, if you will. And I wanted, executive protection.
Am I crazy?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, I know. I was agreeing. You're crazy. No. No. So private protection, planning out travel for people, keeping them safe, happy, and productive.
Okay.
All that good stuff. But I realized I need something more, and I looked into life and health, and I started meeting some just outstanding people. I learned what not to do, what to do, who I needed to surround myself, who I needed to separate myself from, what energy I needed to focus my time on. And in the last 2 years, that's what my experience has been. Taking the good with the bad, kind of like, your experience this morning, Joe, like trying to control what I can control, being thankful for what I have, and knowing that, what the support I have is just outstanding. It could be so much worse, but that I have people around me that are supportive and caring, and, we just got to keep going, moving forward. But I love this industry. I'm constantly growing. You were introducing me to Medicare, but Medicare is something I definitely want to learn more about, but for the time being, I love the experiences that I've had and the relationships I've started to grow in.
Question on this. And I don't know if I've ever actually asked this question to somebody who hey, like obviously, so insurance. Well, there's a lot of different types of insurance.
Oh yeah.
What was it that made you go, hey, I'm going to go check out life and health? Like, what was that like? Hey, like, was it already in front of you? Did you already know people there? Because like for me, it was I went straight into PNC, right, and I never even looked at life and health until more recent years. What kind of, I'm just curious, like what caused you to kind of go that direction versus maybe a property and casualty agent or something, or a State Farm, or those billboards and the offices you see everywhere. Go through what was that decision making process?
You know what? Over the years, it coming in and out of my life, my wife, my biggest supporter, she actually took the plunge and went into life and health, got her license with an agency that I'll just remain nameless. And they were all about recruit.
Yeah.
And it burned her out and myself very quickly. I very quickly realized there's something shady about these people. I want nothing to do with them. And my wife eventually learned after trying to do giving them a chance. And so after that, taking about a year, I did my research when I started to think about life insurance, health insurance, Medicare, PNC, any of those things. And I realized, okay, there's captive insurance agents, and that's fine. And that's actually good for some agents needing to start out. But I didn't want to just sell one company's products. I didn't want to be pigeonholed. So I knew I wanted to be a non-captive. I didn't want to be an agency that was just about recruiting. I wanted to be in an agency where I was going to have some support. I was going to have people that could mentor me, show me, through their work ethic, what it took for me to be successful. Because the reality is a lot of agents don't make it in the first year or two. So I wanted to be that 2 or 3% that actually surpassed that and continue forward. So I actually originally got into one agency, realized very quickly it wasn't where I needed to be, and moved into another. And I focused on health insurance with a little bit of life, learning, the fixed indemnity space, learning, limited annual max plans, that kind of thing, to, figure out how that actually helped people. And then once I got introduced to Joe Crivolo and Compass Health Consultants, man, I feel like I've just taken off, and it has just been outstanding. I mean, ever since February of this year, it's just been a great ride. And I've met so many amazing people like yourself, and some in the space that I'm focusing in right now. I can't be thankful enough for it. I feel very blessed.
Privolo's a stud for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
Really good people. I love their mission statement and core values over there too. This is a good question here. So professional ball player, professional coach aspirations, law enforcement / private protection, right? Background, insurance. I mean, dude, you got to be probably the most organized, scheduled, ready to build a team dude out there, which I guess I'm kind of curious on that side of things too. Like, what was it like? Hey, I don't want to be all about recruitment, but you have been a coach at a high level. Is kind of what I was hearing for quite a while, and know how to run a team efficiently at a high level. I mean, what has your background from coaching and playing, obviously at a high level, because that's just the discipline piece, right? Okay, so I'm a hustler. I'm gonna get after it. I'm willing to put in the reps. But then you're coaching it. But then also you're in private protection, which is I'm scheduling trips. I'm managing this. I'm making sure in the midst of potential chaos, they are all happy and good to go. How has that played, a part in your success in insurance? Hey, you're 2 years. I mean, you're pretty much you're getting there, right, to where you're over the hump, and hey, I'm past the stat line, right? What have those things done for you to have success in insurance?
If anything, it's taught me patience with myself, other people, understand that I can't control others. I can only motivate and feed others information and support, trying to find the best ways to support them, to give them the tools that they need to succeed. Because at the end of the day, I can only control me, and I'll give 110%, but I can't make everybody want to do it, and they have to want to do it. And I think through coaching, I definitely realized from a young coaching age that I was like, man, I can feed and build a fire. I can't create a fire in somebody a lot of the time. And so some of those players, hey, I had to realize that after a while of putting in my blood, sweat, and tears, that some of them just weren't going to go to college to play baseball. However, as a coach, my thing was, I'm going to get you into a college if you want to go to college, even if it isn't for play baseball. So almost all of my players had aspirations of going to college. They went to college, whether it was to play baseball or just get an education. That was something I prided myself on. But as far as in the private protection world, I actually kind of took it as, learn how people are, learn what they need, what they like, how they work, what the best ways to interact with them were. Because sometimes you get a person that wanted it straight out, straightforward, give me the bullet points, no BS. Other people, they wanted the experience. Other people, they didn't want you to even be around, but they wanted you to be around. And so you learn how to be more dynamic, more flexible. So it helped me grow as a person, and then in working with all these different agents of different levels, like there were special ops guys, there were people that were fresh off the boat in retail security, but they all had something to teach, something to provide an experience. And so I just took what I could from everybody and just tried to build and grow my network, build as a person. But I definitely am thankful for all those experiences, whether it be in professional baseball, coaching, or security. But hopefully, taking it into what I do with insurance, hopefully I can make some positive experiences happen for some agents and help make them some money and help the clients, the best they can, when at the moment's notice.
Absolutely. You're still fairly fresh, right? 2 years in, but you're on the right start. You're connected with some of the right people. I see a ton of agents that don't get that start in insurance. But what was probably so far in your experience, what's been your biggest challenge?
Mm-hmm.
What's been the hardest thing that you've had to overcome in your first 2 years?
I think balancing out investment of time and investment of money. You want to do it all. You want to be able to spend $1,000, $2,000 a week on leads, and then, call those people and make money. But, you have to balance that out. And then, because if some people are ready to buy now, some people are ready to buy 3-4 months down the road. And so trying to balance out between financial investment and just time, also balancing out time with family, friends, how to prioritize those kind of things. So I think it's an ongoing challenge because all those things change constantly. But I think
the business continues to grow too. So then it's like, okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that's been my biggest challenge for me. Actually, you were saying about being organized earlier. My wife would completely disagree with you. She knows I'm chaotically organized. So it makes sense to me. I'm organized in my mind. But if you saw my desk right now, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's crazy.
Absolutely. So your biggest challenge has been balancing, right? Investing in your business in both money and time. What are some of the things maybe that you've done that have helped you balance investment in money and time? Like, how did you tackle that challenge, or how are you tackling that challenge?
I think a lot of the time I realize that, when funds are low, you got to have to invest more time. And in the way I invest more time, I get on LinkedIn. I talk to my network, Joe. I talk to other people around me. I try and go to chambers of commerce meetings, events, things like that get me conversations in front of people, give me, free opportunities to get some referrals possibly. And I'm constantly asking for referrals because, we know those are the best. But when money comes in a little bit more, I reinvest into my business and, try and find the best ways to reinvest, whether it be a CRM or a lead generation system, or, maybe it's something, providing $100 or $200 to an agent that has been working hard that, could use a few extra leads, here and there so that they can expand their business and continue being motivated.
Excellent. You hit the nail on the head. And when it comes to marketing, I've been saying this for a long time, that I always felt like there's kind of two knobs on your marketing control system. It's either money or time. If you turn up the money, you can turn down the time. If you turn up the time, you can turn down the money investment, but you're going to have to invest at least one, if not both of those, in some balance. So you said it perfect. You're like, hey, when the money's low, I can invest more time. And you do. And you gave obviously some excellent strategies on that. What's like your ideal referral, like the absolute, since you mentioned going and working with referral partners, like who are you hunting for? Who is the best, not referral partner, who's the best referral for Kenny Salyer?
Right now, the best referral for me would be a business owner that has 10 or more employees, and they want to, add to benefits and save money on their business somehow, and are willing to have a conversation to do so. Because those are the kind of people that I want to work with. Now, I'll tell you right now, that's in the business space. I will talk to any person, family, friend, doesn't matter. If they truly want help and they genuinely need guidance, I'll be happy to help them. But yeah, as far as right now, businesses with 10 or more employees that want to improve their benefits and employee retention, that's what I want.
Excellent.
I think you said something earlier too, when you're talking about just in the private protection space there. And I'm surprised. I thought Tony was probably going to write it down because it was something that we were just harking on in our Monday meeting. But it's basically it's you know your client, right? It's like, hey, I'm around and I want to see how they work and I want to see how they do things. And something that we talk a lot about here in the office is about knowing your territory, but how to work it correctly. And the only way that you do that, especially in our industry, especially you start working with businesses or group health or under any of that side of things, property and casualty too, right? I mean, you got to know your territory and how to work it correctly. I think is the most important word that we have on that board. You can know the territory and work it, but I mean, if you're a slime ball, you're a slime ball, right? Like we gotta work it correctly. And I think that's something important because a lot of the times we are not taking the time to listen or observe. I say observe the client to really understand like who they are and what they need, right? And again, knowing our client, that can even go down to just spending an extra, and Tony just did it last week in one of his first production, and it's like a true sit down. Dude, let me just sit down and talk with the dude and build some rapport with him. That's one of the best ways to get to know your client, which we all know once you get to know your client, hopefully then there is some trust built in that. And then guess what happens if there's trust there? What was Kenny just talking about, y'all? Referrals, right? Now, I will say too, this is also something I wrote down. You could spend all the time getting to know your client, finding the plans that they really need, either for individual or business, right? The trust is there. They want to send you their friends or family that probably need help on this too. And you don't ask for the referral. So that would be my words of encouragement to you is that, hey, if you're really good at sitting down and building rapport and talking with those people and having those communication, and I know there's a lot of people listening to this right now, you got a lot of people in your book of business that if you just ask them to refer you 2 to 3 names of other people that could potentially benefit from your services or your value, whatever you want to call it, you get the referral. So make sure like you can have that. Get to know your client, know your territory and work it correctly. But working it correctly is following that sale or even in your sales process by asking for that referral. So I thought that was super important because it's like sometimes you just don't run up into a house and just insurance, right? It's like, no, let me just kind of observe. Let me get to know how they work, like who they work with, those types of things. I thought that is super important. I want to go back. This is something I've always struggled with. I'm so much better at it now. But team building. So Kenny, obviously, I mean, I was just on a call with some of your team. And I've seen other emails for people. I mean, you got a team, right? You have some agents that you're working with and you're building on that side of things. But you said something earlier about where I can't start the fire, but I can feed and fan the fire, right? Something along those lines. Something I've always struggled with when building a team or even seeing potential is I end up wanting it more than them, right? It's like I'm trying to freaking start that fire for them when it's like, dude, I'm losing time, I'm losing money, like the fire's just not there. So obviously you're 2 years in. When did you start? When did you start even looking to bring people to your team? How did you do that? But then ultimately, have you had any struggle with that? Is that as a coach where it's like, God, come on, man, like you're this close, but you drive me crazy, right? And it's like I can't, right? And you have to move on, right? Talk through some of that because that's always been something I struggle with. I love showing people this opportunity. I love building teams and coaching and supporting and but then there's just that one, and it's like you see it. It's like, dude, you would just be so good if you would be coachable, or if there were just if you had the understanding of what this opportunity really is.
Or if you just pick up the phone.
Or it's just if you just pick up the phone. Come on, man. Yeah. So and he's like, yes.
Yes.
Talk through
No, totally. And just to kind of it's constant. I actually never really thought I'd have a bunch of agents or anything like that. I actually don't. I have a small group of agents that are passionate and hardworking and care about their clients. And they all each have their strengths and weaknesses. But I originally came off another team that we all just wanted some additional tools in our tool belt. And I worked my network and got introduced to some really great people that introduced me to those tools. And I realized I want to tell other people about these things, and giving them the right tool in the right moment to help their client. That's where a few of these agents said, we want to do what you're doing. And it was never really about, you come over to my team and you can do this. It was more like, let me provide this for you. I'm going to introduce you to these people and you can make those decisions for yourself. And those people, the few people that are part of my team, they bought in, and not like financially, they bought in to the system. They bought into the opportunity, and they just went 100%. And those people have done very well, all with their own challenges. But, it was all through just providing those things and putting them in front of them. And then us just constantly having opportunities to build our relationships together. Also like talking about some of the struggles for some of the agents you were talking about, like pick up the phone. Some of them just want to go over information and get all the training and get all the content and fit the script just the perfect right amount. Pick up the phone, and that for those agents that are struggling, it's like, pick up the phone. Like I tried to make 100 to 200 plus calls a day when I was first starting, because you have to have conversations. And the way I was, in the beginning to where I was 6 months later, it was night and day difference. And it was all because of just getting countless amounts of conversations. But I think going back to the team thing, I never expected to have a group of agents. And I don't really take the approach of going on LinkedIn and Facebook and all those places and saying, hey, you want to come work for me? It's more like, hey, let's have some conversations. And if the person's in the right place, I think you'd be a great fit, or I could introduce you to these people. And the relationship just kind of comes organically rather than it being through an application process or a contract.
Yeah. Almost kind of like that better. I feel like it's like when it happens more organically, and like, or again, it's like, why are they even interviewing, type of thing, where it's there's just a lot of synergy there, and there's not necessarily even stepping on toes because, hey, I have these tools that necessarily maybe they wouldn't otherwise have regardless. So then it's just, hey, let me provide some of those tools. I love that you said that. Like, and this goes on the client side too. I hope y'all heard that. Like, do people know the tools that you have in your tool belt? This kind of goes back to what David and Elle Denning talk about a lot, which we got some really cool news for y'all that we're going to drop here in the next day or two, and they are involved. It's going to be really cool. But they talk about, don't be a secret agent. Right. And so maybe you put on your, let's talk about Facebook. Let's talk about your LinkedIn. On your bio, does it just say insurance broker? Or does it say what you specialize in? Right. Well, and that's, again, it's kind of like when you're asking people that, like, do they know all the tools in your tool belt? And I think, kind of to your point, that it happens on the agent side, where agency like, damn, wait, hold on. What you got going there, Kenny? Right. And then you're like, okay, like, I kind of want to use some of those tools. Right. Where'd you get those tools? And then it just happens organically. I think I guess we'll call it the retention, or maybe the longevity of that potential recruit or agent is maybe stronger there too. I don't know, Tony, what are your thoughts on that in the years that you were on that whole side, kind of contract selling? I mean, everything you were doing on that side.
My tagline on LinkedIn is easy. It says, I sell insurance. Do you need some? Just kidding, of course. But no, you're 100% correct. It was a couple of years ago I posted this. I don't know if it was in a group or maybe I just put it on my personal feed, but I talked about the basic point of the post is like, if you're a professional, especially in the insurance industry or any industry, and your about me section is not filled out, you're doing it wrong. If you haven't built out your actual profile so that people know who you are, what you're about, you don't need to put all your public details. They don't need to put your email address, your telephone number, any of that stuff.
Make sure your social's there.
Make sure your social is there. And when somebody sees it, they know who you are. Like, they're like, oh, this guy is a Medicare broker. He's fought, like, if you look at my LinkedIn tagline, it says, what does it say? Building partnerships and fostering success in the Medicare space. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You kind of understand what I'm about on that one. Facebook obviously gives you a little more info to build out as far as the about me section. So it's got all my info on there, right? People know what I'm doing, what I'm about, where I'm located, who I can help, etc. And don't be a secret agent, right? And if you go to my LinkedIn profile, like, it's loaded with material. The bio is lengthy, very descriptive. I've got feature items for podcasts that I've done, videos, speaking events that I've been to, articles that I've written, all of that kind of stuff. So if you understand that the nature of sales and marketing, even if it's not insurance, if you're in solar or if you're in something else, all of this stuff applies. Don't be a secret agent. You got to let people know who you are. That way, whether they get introduced to you or you pop up in their suggested request, they can look at that person and be like, oh yeah, that's definitely somebody I need to be connected to, or I'd be interested in talking to, or that might be a referral partner, or that guy might be 1 degree away from the person that I really need to talk to. But if your shit is blank, they don't know, and they can't act on it.
Kenny, question for you. I've been seeing more of people trying to kind of get back into, and I say back into, more into LinkedIn. I am not a LinkedIn guy. I mean, the fact that I literally caught your message like same day or it might have been a week later. I don't know. It felt like same day. Cause I'm very rarely on LinkedIn. I've never really used it like that. I think I did one maybe campaign through there years ago, just trying to connect with mortgage brokers, but that was about it. Like, I feel as though, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel as though you're leaning pretty heavy into LinkedIn. What would be your words of encouragement to somebody who is maybe trying to get in to LinkedIn to connect with business owners and to, again, show off their tools and those types of things? Like, what have you found is working? How are you utilizing it to create those conversations?
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, just like you, Tony, like I'm always trying to find different ways to develop my LinkedIn, my social platform, because in private protection before, you were trying to keep a low footprint. You were trying to be covert. You were trying not to make waves or be seen. And so it was being, on low. Even my wife would normally post anything on our social media. It wouldn't be me. And I did that purposely. And now I purposely need to get out there more in front of people. And as far the advice I would give is make sure that, people have information on you. Make sure that you have a professional profile picture to not just a body or headshot, but maybe something with you and some family or you and a friend. It makes you look more personable. Or, as far as reaching out to people on social media like LinkedIn or any of those other platforms, think about your ideal client, what they look like. If it's the CFO that you would want a conversation with, look at all these businesses, look up CFOs, look up, companies out there and try and build networks with those people, connect with them, send basic messages, and just get to know people, ask them about themselves, ask them about their businesses. People love talking about themselves. I'm weird like that. I don't really like talking about myself a whole lot, but I would rather learn about other people so I understand how I can help them. But if anything, just don't be shy. You're not really bothering anybody. And if you are, they're going to let you know, or they're going to block you, but you're not trying to be annoying. You're trying to start those relationships. So don't be shy, get out there and talk to people. Yeah. I think if I were to give any advice as to like building out your social media or adjusting your social media, it would be make sure that if you were to be a business owner looking to improve a relationship with somebody, if I looked into your social media, would I be embarrassed or would I be happy to say that you represent me? And so a lot of the times I learned that the hard way as a young student athlete. I had things on my online social media that weren't bad, but to certain organizations, they said, well, that's not the person we want to really do business with yet. And so I had to learn that the hard way and adjust and create a presence that was a little bit more professional or a little bit cleaner, more family oriented, and I think that that's something people should start thinking about. I also learned that, while we all take political stances, let's try and keep politics and religion out of it if you can help it. Because at the end of the day, you want to attract a wide variety of business owners that may share different views, different beliefs. And if they see you one way or the other and they disagree with it, well, they're not going to do business with you. And maybe you're okay with that, but I'm not. I would love to be able to help out as many people as possible. And I want them to be like, let's work with this guy. He's got a great energy. He's got information that we need. Let's work with this guy because he's well liked. He's highly recommended. He's clean. Let's do business.
Absolutely. in regards to some of the stuff you said, like to building your following and so forth and social media, it follows standard advertising rules, to be honest with you. Why does advertising work? Because it's repetitious. It's in your face over and over and over again. And that's why eventually you buy the product, because it's been blasted at you over and over and over and over and over and over and over until the brand or the name of it gets stuck in your brain. And then the day pops up that you need it and you're like, oh, that, because it's just automatically there. Same thing with social media. And this is something, it was a hack that I used that helped me really grow my following on both LinkedIn and Facebook, was just making sure that I had content that was in front of people all the time. And I really wasn't as concerned about the content, as I just wanted to make sure that you saw my name in your feed over and over and over again, that at least had content that was relevant to you. Maybe it wasn't the highest quality content. Maybe it was just a news article that I shared that's relevant to your industry. But over and over and over and over again, you would see my name in your feed every morning as soon as you open LinkedIn, as soon as you open Facebook. And it was simple. All I did was I went and started aggregating news articles that were relevant to the Medicare space or the insurance agent. I would read that article. I'd verify, is this a good article? I'd cut out a synopsis. I'd share it on LinkedIn or I'd share it on Facebook. My name's up there. The little blurb of what's important about it is at the top. And I became pretty quickly, people started following me because they realized, like, wow, Merwin is a phenomenal aggregator of relevant news. So if they wanted to know what was happening in their industry on a day-to-day basis, all they had to do is go to my feed. I built that reputation pretty quick. The following kept growing. And then as I was able to start sprinkling in my offers, and this is the old, 5-3-1 method, right? Like 5 posts that are informational, couple that are educational, and then boom, it's the closing post. Like, here's my offer. That worked great. And that works whether you're building referral partners, you're finding business people or attracting small businesses, or you're trying to attract Medicare folks. That still works. My wife is doing the same thing in the Medicare space for the Spanish speaking folks. You got to get your name and your brand in front of them.
Yeah.
Over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
And I would say, to piggyback on that, multiple platforms. And that makes you kind of think of what you want your personality to be on those multiple platforms, right? So like for me on LinkedIn, I'm definitely going to have kind of more like my Facebook is my more personable, relationship driven, like it's my timeline, right? Like truly like what I'm about, I'm documenting. LinkedIn is kind of more, I have a more professional presence on LinkedIn. Again, my what you said, Kenny, like my profile picture looks way different on LinkedIn than it does. Actually, I'm actually pretty professional right now in my current photo. I got dressed up for Brian for Clearview. It's a damn good photo though. So I'm not mad about it. But as soon as I changed it, everybody's like, "Where's the jersey?" And it's like, well, I'll bring it back here in a little bit. But Meta's kind of a pain to like have to update, and then I gotta like send in my driver's license number to change my profile picture. This is stupid. Here's something I wanted to bring up, and what I got from what you were saying is, what are you willing to do to start the conversation? And like it is as simple, but they get so caught up. Like I know, again, we've got members listening to this, right, and agents that are like, oh, but what if I piss them off? Right? Like, what if and it's like, dude, you're not bothering anybody. You guys heard Kenny say it. Like, dude, just message them, man. They love to talk about themselves and their business. Hopefully their businesses do it. Like, they want to talk about how their business is booming and life is great, man. Or maybe it is the flip side where, dude, I am struggling and I need freaking help. But you didn't reach that person because you weren't willing to send that cold message, because you don't want to come off like a spam person or a bot or something like that. Like, who cares? So my question again to our listeners is, what are you willing to do to start the conversation? Brian Askins is the best freaking story of that of all time, right? Where like, and I say the conversation, I guess, in that scenario was already started, but like the dude's trying to win Rookie of the Year, and the guy that he's trying to close, and this is when they're still doing paper apps and all, like, you got to go get wet signatures. And like, you can't, you're not snail mailing or anything like he's got to go get this signature and then having it sent or submitted to the main office or whatever by the end of the day for it to count overnight for him to get Rookie of the Year. This dude drove like, what was it, like 3 or 4 hours to like another, I think it was in a different state almost. And the guy gets there, turns out he worked on a barge. Barge had already taken off.
Barge is gone.
Barge is gone, but he's like, he's on there, and then literally finds a guy that's like local there, gets on the boat. The guy takes him out to the barge. He finds the dude on the barge, gets him to freaking sign the app, and gets it turned into headquarters. And I'm just like, what are you willing to really do? Not just to start the conversation, but to help these clients, right? And to help these people. I had to tell that story because I love him. I'm like, bro, I just imagine seeing him getting out there, and he's all the way out there. And it's like just like a rowboat or something going to get him. But I'm like, what are you willing to do, right? I think that's so good, man. Well, so real quick as we kind of start to close out here, Kenny, you're 2 years into this thing, right? You're obviously having success on the sales side of things. I think you've really, you've educated yourself enough, and you're still a sponge, so you're learning more, but you've kind of started to find your lanes that you're running in and your ideal client avatar and that type of thing. My question to you, and we have shiny objects all over the place. What's next for Kenny, right? So what are you, and I say that what's next isn't, what's on the horizon, but what's the next thing you're going to implement? Or is it, hey, dude, I found my thing, and so I'm just going to keep running and I'm going to go, hard on this? Or it is, okay, now that I've kind of got these two things, I'm 2 years into this thing, I've got the team starting to write, I found the right people, the right network, I've got my tool belt and full with tools. What's the next? Do you add another tool? Or do you just keep doing what are your thoughts on that? Or even again, for a new agent who's been in 2 years, all right, I've got momentum. What do I do next though? What would be your thoughts on that?
I think a lot of the time, I almost want to take the kind of the Apple approach, if you will, and say, instead of trying to add all these different things, look for where the problems are. Look what actually needs to be solved, rather than adding on a bunch of other things and potentially adding on a bunch of other problems unnecessarily. See where you can be more efficient in your business. See where there's some holes, or see where maybe you're spending money unnecessarily. Looking at those things so that you strengthen your business from within first. And if there are things, like the reason why I have even a team today was by adding a couple tools that were missing. Yeah, you could add some tools, but I think that just getting the next shiny object thing is only going to add distraction. And I think that I think that if we can focus in on a few items at a time, we're gonna have the answers for our clients and be able to help them with solutions no matter what. But being efficient and not being overwhelmed. Because being overwhelmed, you get paralyzed and you're not able to do anything in your business, or you spend too much time on the wrong things. And so I think trying to look at the areas of your business that you need solutions for, rather than looking at adding more things, sometimes is even better, is even a better step forward for you.
What are some systems? So obviously, you're using systems to be able to backtrack and look at those efficiency and see where there's gaps or anything like that. What are just a couple of things that you guys are using within, obviously, your agency now? What are some tools? And I say tools as in technology, systems, processes, maybe even that you're using to be able to manage that.
We have different CRMs that we use to track and run reports and things like that. But just constant weekly meetings, conversations with different agents, what's working, what's not working, where they're struggling, maybe seeing where money was better the month before, and what we were doing, to get those results before, and then where we're struggling this month, why. But a lot of that's from CRMs, or just by tracking over a period of time.
You're on a Go High Level, right?
Yeah, Go High Level.
Yep.
That's mainly the platform that we use. But we're always looking for different things. We do, power dial systems through Kixie, and that's great because that, lowers the amount of agent, physical effort, and lets it just dial for them right away. But there's a lot of different platforms that can be used, and a lot of our agents use different platforms. But at the end of the day, they have something to make
just
their
have
life a little
something,
easier.
please.
Have something. Right. It's because honestly, I still text from my personal cell phone. I still make a lot of calls from my own cell phone, and I think sometimes that's just as good as anything. But when you're calling 300, 400, 500 people a day, you get some kind of power dial or something. But that's how we track, is through different CRMs.
Like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Any last questions from you?
I hate power dollars personally.
It's
I
okay.
love them.
I get the need for them, and I get the usage case 100%. You can dial more lines faster and connect with more people. But I'm old school, right? They didn't have power dollars when I got into this business. I mean, I started banging on doors and just picking up a hardcore receiver that's wired to the wall to make calls. Like, that's where I come from. So I kind of feel like a power dollar creates a lazy agent. I want to see you put in the work ethic and have to fight with that decision in your brain to pick up or not pick up the phone and make another dial. I want to train the agent to overcome that. A lot of guys are probably going to tell me I'm an idiot because all I'm doing is introducing more friction. I'm slowing down the sales process, but I feel like I'm growing a more disciplined and stronger individual on my team if I can force them to go through that extra step. You have to make the conscious choice in your brain to pick up the phone, dial a phone number, and get someone on the phone. And if you don't get them on the phone, you have to have the conscious brain to not even put the phone down, just dial the next number and dial the next number and dial the next number. So I want to create a human being that is his own power dialer, not have a machine do it for him. But that's me.
I am so glad I'm not one of Tony's producers. Man, I remember having to do that, and I get like a crook in my neck, man.
That's why they have a headset. They don't have to do that. That's why they have a headset.
Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with those.
On the back of my receiver, so it sits on your shoulder, and you don't have to do that.
Speakerphones, headsets, that's great. Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with power dollars because they're far from perfect, and you get a lot of voicemails and all that kind of stuff, and you're like, okay, well, let's keep going, But yeah, I agree with you. You got to keep dialing, keep dialing, keep dialing. You have a bad conversation, on to the next. No just means next opportunity. So, go on to the next, and you got to keep moving forward. One of the best things I ever heard from a sales manager was jet pilots have no rear view mirror. So, when things aren't going great, don't keep looking back, keep moving forward, and keep your eyes on the prize. If you have a goal in mind to pay this bill or that bill or go on this trip, the way you're going to do that is to keep dialing, and keep reaching out, keep moving forward.
I just had a thought. Maybe I could take Gabu out and do some door-to-door work with him for a couple of weeks, and then bring him back into the office and see what happens.
That would be fun.
That would
Todd's commenting. He goes, dialing out of the phone booth. LOL. That's funny. Well, real quick, Kenny, for anybody before we wrap up here, man, thank you so much, bro, for having you on. I'm sure it won't be the last time, and excited to see you just engaging in the group and everything. I know you're someone newer just because we're newer, connections. So, but real quick, man, for anybody that would like to reach out to you, connect with you, hop on a call, y'all, again, drop that in the comments and he'll be able to circle back with you. But real quick, Kenny, just how can people reach out?
Yeah, feel free to give me a call or email. You can give me a call. The number is 650-676-0345, or you can reach me at Kenny, Kenny, at getehp.com. That's getehp.com. And I'd be happy to make some time to talk to you, give you information, just kind of understand what you need, and kind of go from there.
Excellent day, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's definitely a pleasure to meet you, and certainly good tidings as you continue to grow in the business. I'm sure we will see you again somewhere on the flip side. And for all you guys tuning in, thank you all for coming. We appreciate you. Like I've said before, we are here every Wednesday, 9 a.m. We do it live. That's the only way we do it. And come see us, right? Come down, visit Syndicate headquarters. We got a beautiful shop here. We'd love to have you come through. You can come work, get part of the buzz that we have going around this office. Subscribe to our channels. We're everywhere, man. We're on YouTube. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. We're on, what's that other one? Instagram Reels. Go out there and chew up the short-term content. And the only other thing I want to say to our viewers, man, if you have some ideas for guests that you would like to see on the show, send them to us.
Yeah.
If you have some ideas for topics you would like to see on the show, send them to us. We'd happily be able to provide that for you. So
I'm going to come back and drop in like, Tony, I'd like to talk about power dialers. And Tony's going to be like, no, delete the comment, boot from the group.
Block.
I love it. Well, happy winning on Wednesday. Thank you, Kenny, again for your time. Thank you, Insurance Syndicate. This group is nothing without y'all. It is the peak of the week. Keep the pedal down. Let's keep going strong. Finish out the week strong. And remember, as Kenny just said, no just means next opportunity. Thanks, y'all. See you later.